welcome to another segment of our Solution Here series. Now this time we're going to bring you something completely different. It doesn't have anything to do about healthy homes, but it's about our health. With all the work that we're doing around the buildings, trying to bring healthy houses for people to live in, we have discovered some truths and some facts, and they are very worrying. And we pretty much put the dots together, and we'll have a theory that we pretty much know what causes cancer and a lot of our other illnesses. And you wouldn't believe it. Water. You just wouldn't believe it, that this innocent thing, which is so essential for life on our planet, in our theory, it's the cause of cancer and a lot of other illnesses. And now, I'll show you what we think it's the weapon against cancers. Let's have a look. Well, this is quite an amazing place. We're at the moment. We're in the northern suburbs of Sydney in a place called Ku-ring-gai Park. And it's quite amazing. Look at that. It's just so beautiful around here. I need to show you my weapon. You won't believe it. Actually, I think I found two, not just one. This is my weapon. And there's actually another one over there. Can you believe it? Someone just threw those things in the water. No, don't go away. Don't go away. This is very, very serious. Stay with me. Just listen to my theory. I think we have something very important here. So what I was just saying before is, with our work, we discovered a lot of people are getting very ill because of water. Because water causes moisture in the houses, in our schools, in our hospitals, in our work environment, everywhere. And our houses, not only just in Australia, but around the world, 90% of them are full of moisture, full of water. We never build healthy homes. Now this is what we do. We make sure that the environment you live is actually healthy. But unfortunately, we discovered that the people that they live in this environment, they're suffering from a lot of problems, health problems. And what causes the problems is mold. Now let's have a look through the forests and I'll show you what I mean. Remember, mold needs moisture, needs water. That's what it needs to survive. And mold is the cause of our illnesses, and I can prove to you that even our cancers. The solutions are two. We have to stop the mold in our buildings and also entering our bodies. So mold can cause a lot of health problems. You wouldn't believe the list of the problems that we're finding that mold is causing. Pretty much everything. Problems with your chest, asthma, allergies, flus, lethargy, fatigue, sleep issues, headaches. But the main thing is that we think that it causes also cancer. Let's have a look now at a vegetarian mold. Yeah, believe it or not, there are all different types of molds. This is a vegetarian one that attacks trees and plants, right? Now if you have a look at this tree here, it's very sick. It's got cancer. You can see the trunk down here, and you can see some of the healthy trees, like the one next to it. Have a look at this. You can see these little heads here, these little mushrooms. Now these are only tiny, but they still have thousands and thousands of spores, each one of them. But let's have a look now at a video. What happens when a stronger mold attacks a weaker mold? Because there's around about, they discover about 100,000 molds, right? There's probably about 1 million out there. And some of them are stronger than others. And believe it or not, they will feed on each other. Now this is a very interesting video. Have a look at it. Amazing, isn't it? Now, I just want to go back into that little video to show you something very interesting, a little detail. And this is towards the end, where we can see the yellow mold trying to get the last of the white mold, right? Now, can you see how the white mold is starting to move away from it? Now, between that section, between the yellow mold and the white mold, there's a battlefield. And the yellow mold, it's a stronger one, and it just transfers itself to the other side. We don't see it, but it happens. Again, I have to use my Greek word for it, because I'm not sure what the English word is, but we call it in Greek, we call it metastasis. When the one mold just moves to the next one without the spores. Now, we're gonna watch a video about mold in bread, right? Now, have a look how the mold grows on your bread. It starts with very little mold, very little tiny mold, and then it takes over the whole bread. Do you actually eat that bread? You cut a little piece that is moldy and you eat it? Most of the people do. I used to do it. Well, I'll tell you what, don't touch it. As it is, the whole loaf, just throw it in the bin. Have a look at this video.
You're all ready to make the sandwich of your dreams. Turkey, tomato, and Swiss on a bed of romaine lettuce, sandwiched between 2 slices of sourdough. Classic. But oh no! What's this? Mold? But look, good news. The mold's only on part of the bread. So I could just cut that away and it'd be fine, right? There's no such thing as a clean part of moldy bread. That's because mold is a fungus, like mushrooms. The caps on the surface are easy enough to spot, but there's a vast network of subterranean roots called hyphae that you can't see. So let's take another look at that bread of yours. Ugh, disgusting. Well, maybe you can just grab another piece from the same loaf. Well, that's not such a good idea either. Because by the time the mold sprouts its fuzzy head, what you're really seeing is the reproductive part of the mold called sporangiums. Each sporangium releases tens of thousands of spores, so even though you can't see it, that entire loaf could be teeming with fungus.
There you go. It's amazing, isn't it? It's there. The thing that worries me about these loaves of bread, especially when they're sliced, is that I buy the bread from the supermarket and I put it in my cupboard. If the humidity is right, the mold is gonna grow, right? Where is the mold getting into that sealed bag from? It doesn't. It's in the bread at the first place. Where it's coming from? The wheat. Do you know that probably around about 20 to 30% of the wheat that becomes our flour, it has mold? It's called the rust mold. We're gonna have a look at that in another video later on. But you can see how it can actually transfer itself from one piece of slice of bread to the next one and to the next one and to the next one. This is called metastasis. The same way that these trees can be affected, not only with the spores, but also with the root system. Now, the next thing we're gonna have a look, it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. And believe it or not, there's people that are saying that this type of mushroom, I call them mushrooms. To me, a mold is a fungus. You can call it a fungi. You can call it I call it a mushroom. That's what a mold is. A mushroom is the adult mold, when it's ready to send the spores out there, the seeds, to get the next victim. Now, we're gonna watch a video, which is very interesting. And this is about a mold called Cordyceps mold. Now have a look and see how it attacks the ends, and not just the ends, and what it does to the end. Let's have a look.
In the tropical forest regions of our planet, particularly those in Asia, you can find a very interesting parasitic fungus, one that has an incredible yet brutal effect on ants and other insects. The fungus takes control of the insect and forces it to carry out its reproductive cycle, which, if successful, can destroy the whole colony. The killer fungus I'm talking about is called Cordyceps. The name comes from Greek, which translates to mean clubhead, likely due to the unique appearance of the fungus as it grows out of its host. There are over 400 known species of it, and each has evolved to take a different kind of insect as its victim. Let's start by taking a look at a specific species of Cordyceps called Feo Cordyceps Unilateralis. This species has evolved to target the Campatini tribe of ants, including carpenter ants, which are indigenous to tropical areas all around the world. When an ant comes into contact with a Cordyceps spore, it attaches to the body of the ant and it eventually punctures through the exoskeleton with a combination of mechanical pressure and enzymes. The parasite is then free to spread throughout the ant's body, internal organs, and muscles. Shortly after, the ant will begin to exhibit behavioural changes, experiencing convulsions, and will appear almost drunk or dizzy as it moves in an unnatural fashion. The fungus has now taken control of the ant and will begin forcibly directing it to its location of choice. It was previously thought that Cordyceps took control and commanded the ant's movement through infection of its brain, but we now know that this is not the case. Instead, it leaves the brain intact and directly manipulates the muscles of the ant, almost like a puppeteer pulling the strings. The parasite will force the ant to stop working and climb a small tree or plant against its will. The fungus is looking for a very specific location, the underside of a leaf on the northern side of the plant, at a height of around 25 centimeters from the forest floor. Once it has found this oddly specific location, it will manipulate the ant to bite down hard onto the main vein of the leaf, securing it to the plant. The fungus then kills the ant as it begins to grow hyphae from within, which form a kind of branching network of fungus. It spreads throughout the ant's body, exoskeleton, and ultimately its brain. It also begins to secrete antimicrobials to ward off other competition in the form of other fungi and bacteria. Then, when the Cordyceps fungus is ready, the sporocarp, or fruiting body of the parasite, bursts out of the ant's head and grows club or needle-shaped mushrooms. These mushrooms then rupture, releasing spores into the air, the forest floor below, and more ants, and the process repeats. Incredibly, when the infected ant first begins to show signs, the healthy ants can sense that it is a threat to the colony. They will actually pick up the infected ant and very quickly take it as far away as they can and dump it to protect the colony, almost as if it were a ticking time bomb which could wipe them all out, which isn't too far from the truth. Feo Cordyceps Unilateralis has been known to wipe out entire ant colonies.
In the next video, we're going to just watch very quickly how the bats in America are under extinction.
In Pennsylvania, we're looking at about a 99.9% decline of all of our cave hibernating bats. Most of that is from the little brown bat, which was our most common bat in the state prior to white nose syndrome. And this fungus actually digests the live cells of the bats, primarily in the wings, and causes these bats to arouse more frequently than they should, which depletes their energy stores to make it through the whole winter hibernating, and that ensues with mortality at that point.
These species are treated pine timbers, but you can see that the mold actually gone through it, and it has caused, even on them, it has caused dry rot. Another victim over there, lots of victims over here. We looked at the insects, we looked at the bats, they're all disappearing. The next one is the frogs. Do you know that there is an extinction of frogs?
There's a mysterious killer fungus that's wiping out animals on several continents, bringing one species to the brink of extinction. This is the sharp-snouted day frog, and from the late 1980s up to about 2004, more than 80% of the entire species was decimated by a disease caused by the chirid fungus. Up until that time, it was happily living in rainforest streams in Africa and northeastern Queensland in Australia.
But the thing is, it doesn't only just attack the animals. It doesn't just attack the insects. Like I said, it attacks a lot of plants as well. Did you know that our favorite fruit, bananas, are facing extinction?
A killer fungus is destroying millions of bananas and threatening the world's supply of the tasty fruit. The soil-borne fungus called the Panama disease has already affected crop supplies in Asia, Africa, and Australia. The target of the disease? The Cavendish banana, the world's most popular variety. The fungus has already destroyed tens of thousands of hectares in Asia, and if it makes its way to Latin America, bananas as we know it may vanish.
I remember back in the old days, you just throw something in here or you come around here and you could just see frogs everywhere. You could see inside the water a lot of the little baby frogs. I don't know what they're called, but the thing is that they're not here anymore. They will have the same problem. Now the next thing we're going to look is the wheat. The wheat is under threat. And yet another mold. And this mold, because of its color, it's called the rust mold. Let's have a look at that one.
Plants are under constant threat from invaders. This wheat crop stem is being attacked by a parasite. The parasite is called rust, although it is actually a type of fungus. The invading rust fungus has penetrated deep inside the plant tissue. As the invasion progresses, the fungus produces spores. These spores erupt from the surface of the plant. The spores spread, creating pustules, new sites of infection. Soon the plant's stem and leaves are covered in fungal growth. Carried by wind, the fungal spores can travel great distances, eventually reaching other potential hosts. This spore must now find the nutrients it requires to grow. Sending out the germ tube, it seeks an entry point into the plant. A newly formed penetration tube breaks inside the stem, and the fungus extends further into the plant. Once inside the stem, another structure, called the haustorium, is used to penetrate inside one of the plant's cells. New strains of fungi are constantly developing through evolution. This can make some plants vulnerable to infection. Diseases like rust fungus have plagued crop production since people first began farming. Globally, infections of rust destroy 15 million tons of wheat each year.
Oh my God, look at this one. Half eaten alive. Now we looked at all the different problems with mold, fungus, myceta, mushrooms, or cancers. Because this is my point. Remember how at the end was going into a frantic, into spasms? It reminds me of some other sicknesses, like autism perhaps, or other sicknesses, other diseases, right? It gets controlled by the cordyceps, by the mold. So when we looked at the video with the cordyceps attacking the end, we just saw this spasm, this going into a frenzy. Isn't that like a crazy people? And then did you notice how the other ends from the colony, they were taking it away from their colony? Isn't that what we do with crazy people? I just see a similarity there. But the similarities that I've seen with problems that we have, including our cancers, is through many other things. For example, we looked at the mold on bread, or even the vegetarian mold on a tree. Now, the picture that you see now, you can see the mold. Can you see the little mushrooms? Yeah. Do you know what that is? Isn't that a mold? To me, it's a mold. To me, the mushrooms. To me, it's a fungus. You know what it is? It's an ear cancer. Do I see things? I see things maybe because of the mold problems that I have in my body, because I had the problems. And I told you what I've done with my fork and Hippocrates advice and how I got rid of it. Anyway, so we see the similarity of the ear cancer and the mold on our breads or on our fruit. Now let's have a look at the close-up of the prostate cancer. What do I see? A mold. Yeah, I can see the little heads, I can see the little mushrooms, I can see the little roots, but they're trying to do what? Perhaps a metastasis. How many times have we heard that in cancer on humans? The metastasis. Interesting. Now when you look at the mold, the prostate cancer mold, and you look at these molds, yeah, pretty much the same. The only thing is that the other mold is a vegetarian mold. What happened in our nature? I mean, the molds are a natural phenomenon. They're just there to just keep control of things. They keep control of the ants that they don't overpopulate. They keep control of the locusts. They keep control of everything so it doesn't overpopulate. It's population control. Same with the trees. So it's been there as a good thing because it will feed on anything that is dead. It will clean up the environment and will produce nutrients for the new life. But what has happened the last decades, the last 30 to 40, maybe 50 years, and now we have this problem everywhere that we see trees dying, bats, frogs, mooses, and you name it, including maybe humans. Is it that molds actually feed on these toxins, the chemicals that we have put everywhere the last 40 years? Have we created an alien? Have we created the super mold, the perfect mold, or the perfect cancer? And it's killing our plant life, it's killing insects and animals, and maybe us. So, this is my theory. Sounds crazy, but what if it's true? What if it's really a mold that causes all the sicknesses on plants, animals, insects, and humans? What if I'm right? Yet another victim. This young little baby, look at it. Mold everywhere here. Just weaken it. The whole thing is dead, dried out. You can see the mold everywhere. Mold is coming out, the mushrooms will be coming out. So now we're going to talk about what we're going to do to kill the mold, to kill the alien, to kill the super cancer, the perfect cancer. Right, first of all, we start with our houses. Now remember, we talked about the leaks in the water. You have to be very careful. Services, a lot of problems with services. They break and they leak and there's mold everywhere. And then underground water, surface water, all these things you have to be very careful. When you build a new house, think how you can make your house like a fortress against the enemy, against something, the alien that could kill you one day. So, starting with the places where we live, that's where we start. We have to make sure we eliminate the problem right at its source. What does it need? Water. What does it need? Moisture. What does it need? Organic matters. Get rid of them. Just make your house healthy. That's number one rule, right? The next thing is how we feed it to our bodies. Food. That's my fork. Remember my fork? The forks that I found in that little lake over there? That's my weapon. That's how we get rid of the molds. I've done it myself. I had a lot of problems. Different problems. I didn't know what it was. And I started this special diet. I call it the Hippocrates Diet. It's not an alkaline, it's not a vegan, it's my diet. It's called the Hippocrates Diet. Remember what Hippocrates says, medicine is your food, and food is your medicine. And that's what I've been doing the last 2 months, and I got rid of a lot of my problems. A lot of issues, including my stage 2 prostate cancer that was coming up. Basically, you have to get rid of anything and everything that the mold loves, and you just eat the stuff that he hates. Very simple. So what do we stop eating? The molds. Remember how the one mold eats the other. Why do you want to give it a mold to eat, to feed it? Stop feeding it. Let it die. So why will I eat a mushroom? Any type of mushroom. I don't care. Can you believe cordyceps? They eat the cordyceps. That they kill so many insects and animals and eat it. I don't eat mushrooms. Anything that is mold related. What else is mold related? My bread. Anything to do with bread. Yeast. It's another mold. I got rid of that. No more of that. I mixed it with my olive oil and my little ouzo and my Greek dancing. I still do the Greek dancing, but I don't eat the bread. I still have my olive oil though. And then other things that they are created from mold. What is it? Think about it. What is fermentation? Fermentation is a mold, another mold. Beer is the worst. They put yeast in the bottles so it can ferment inside the bottle. You just drink the yeast. Maybe it's okay, but for me, for now, I just gave it all up, right? Then, what else? Cheese, milk, all these products. I mean, why do you want to eat molded cheese? Yogurts. Okay, maybe they're okay. I don't know. To me, they're not. This is my diet, away from those things. So the next thing to do now that we starve them is to attack them. Kill them. They're weak. What do we do to kill them now? Okay, the foods that we need to eat to kill them. What do I use? Garlic. The number one weapon that you can actually use is garlic. Raw garlic though. Cut it up in little sections, clean it up, make sure it's not from China. The other thing that I use also is turmeric. I get turmeric, the root, and ginger. I just cut it up in little strips. I just clean it up and put it in my juices, I put it in my salads, I put it everywhere. Baking soda. Can you believe? The only chemical that I use is baking soda. But baking soda, a little bit in your juice, or a little bit in my water, not from the tap, important. So a little bit of lemon in the morning with a little bit of warm water, lukewarm water, and a little bit of baking soda every morning when you get up. It's medicine. Believe it or not, lemon belongs to the alkaline diet. And while it's acidic, when it's in our body, it becomes alkaline. Incredible, trust me. Not because I'm Greek. And what's his name? Hippocrates was my grandfather. Maybe, I don't know. I forgot the most important one. Olive oil. Olive oil, yes. Olive oil is the best thing you can have. So there's a lot of things out there. We're gonna go through it in another episode, but remember, fix your house. Make your house healthy. Number one, that's where the alien is. That's where he starts. It's everywhere around us, but remember, we created the perfect mold, this perfect cancer, and now we need to kill it. Remember, pharma with an F, not with PH. That's the secret to your illness. Thank you very much for watching again. This is Harry Choukalas, the very happy and healthy guy that brought you this amazing story that maybe it's not true, but who cares? Let's try it all together. Let's try it.